Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Intuitive Angling. I really appreciate you guys making a little time out of your day to watch the video. Got a good tip for you guys today. We're going to talk about frogs versus mice, rats, topwater fishing in the springtime of the year, and when you want to use a rat imitator or a frog imitator. A lot of you guys probably never even seen these rats before, so we'll talk about that a little bit. I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on when and where to fish them and everything. Real quick before we get started, just want to give you guys a reminder. If you guys that haven't heard, I've got a new line of merchandise up on my YouTube channel. Before we had like 3 shirts, and now we've got like 12 different items. We got a new Intuitive Angling logo on there. And if you guys are interested in ordering some of that, when you click on the video, you can see the list of merchandise at the bottom, or go to the About section on my YouTube page and click on Intuitive Merchandise, and you can get all the info there. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about this frog fishing. Now, frog fishing, it has a wider range of applications now than it ever has. You can start catching frogfish anytime the water temperature is like in the mid 50s. So the frog season, actually, in a lot of different parts of the country, it could be 12 months out of the year if you're down south, or if you're up in my part of the country, sort of the mid part of the country, it can be like from April to October. Maybe a little shorter if you're up north. But frogs and those soft-bodied plastic topwaters like that are one of the best ways to catch big bass in not only heavy cover, but just sparse cover as well. So what we're going to talk about today is a frog versus a mouse. Now, this is the typical frog here. This is the Megabass Big Gabbit here. This is a typical frog design. They come in a lot of different colors. Pretty beefy. Basically, they just look like a frog. And then you've got some, you guys may have never seen this, you've got some mouse imitators. I think this is a Live Target. I can't remember the name of it, the brand of it, but I've got 5 or 6 of them. A guy clued me in on them about 10 years ago. And so here's the 2 difference in the profiles with it. Now, when do you want to use either or? Here's when I use the frog. The frog to me is designed for when I want to draw fish up that needs to come a distance away. Say, for example, if I'm fishing a really thick lily pad field, some matted grass, that type of stuff, or if I'm skipping this thing underneath boat docks or underneath shady overhanging trees, this is like when I like to use a frog. Both of these baits I use, that you walk them just like a Zara spook or something, you just walk them side by side. I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But a frog is, this is designed anywhere you can catch fish on this thing, not just in traditional matted vegetation like what people think about frogs, but anywhere you think the bass could be shallow. If you've got shallow targets, I don't care if it's grass, wood, rock, whatever, a frog is a great way to catch them, especially this time of year. One of my favorite ways to catch them on a frog is to go back in the coves during the springtime of the year and basically just throw this thing up on the bank, especially concentrate, if there's any shade pockets, little stumps in the water, whatever. It's a great way to bring fish from a long distance away. It moves a lot more water than a mouse does. Now the mouse, to me, the mouse is more subtle. You can see the difference in the size here a little bit on it, and the mouse is a little bit more diminutive. It's a little bit more finessey. It's a little bit more difficult to walk. It's the same deal. It goes side to side like that. But the times that I like to use a mouse is if I feel the fish are finicky, and if I know exactly where the fish are setting up at. Say, for example, I'm catching fish on a mouse around matted milfoil or something like that. If I come up to like a real obvious point of milfoil where you look at this and say, there's got to be a fish in there, this is when the frog or the mouse works really good. If you're in a small area where you know there's fish at, you can work this mouse extremely slow. I like to throw it out there and just twitch it along, and then I just let it sit there for a long time and then just barely move it like that. Anytime that you feel those fish are in the vicinity of it where they won't commit to a bigger bait like a frog, they will get this mouse here. I don't use the mouse in open water. The mouse to me has been effective strictly in vegetation. I've caught them around water willows on it. I have smoked them on a mouse, like on the Potomac River or like Lake Chickamauga, Guntersville, areas where you have that shallow milfoil growth. The mouse will outfish a frog in that condition like that. Another thing about the mouse is you need calm conditions, because the mouse, since it's subtle, it tends to nosedive a little bit. So you want calm conditions with the mouse. And the frog, depending upon if you're using a walking frog or a popping frog, it just displaces more water, makes a lot more noise. I use both of these on braided line. Most of the time on the frog, on the bigger frog, I'm using 50-pound test, Seaguar Smackdown. And on the mouse, I go downsize. I use 30-pound test, Seaguar Smackdown, braided line on the mouse. You don't really need, quite as much. But both of these are highly effective, guys. I mean, one of the ways that I, if I'm fishing around grass, for example, I'll use the frog to maybe locate the fish, maybe get some blow-ups on it. And a lot of times you can go back through there on the mouse and pick up more fish than you can on the frog. In my opinion, the frog is a better bait for locating the fish, and a mouse is a better bait for catching the fish in grass. So mix them up both. I mean, like I said, a lot of guys don't even know anything about these mice, but they're a really good deal. A couple of different tips on both of these guys. Anytime you're frog fishing, I'll give you a couple quick tips besides the two. Is make sure when you're on the hooks that you have here, make sure you take some pliers and bend them out. I don't got my pliers here, but bend them out about 1/8 of an inch. And because that'll get those points sticking out from the plastic. When those fish come up and get it, they'll get a lot more. Secondly on that is, tell yourself when you're frog fishing never to set the hook when the fish hits it. The only time I ever set the hook on a frog is if I'm flipping it or working it through and one blows up all over it. I've already programmed myself not to set the hook. I won't set the hook until I see the line swimming almost like a jig or soft plastic. Then I'll set the hook. And also, when you're working these things, one tip that I'll give you to get the best action out of it is you got to keep your rod tip really low to the water and jerk it down. If you keep it low to the water and jerk it down, it'll get that quick darting action. Sometimes a frog, depending upon the frog, is hard to work the action on it till you get the right cadence on it. But anyway, just a quick video, guys. Frogs versus mice. Both, you want them in your arsenal. Really good all year long. Really good right now. And they catch definitely some good quality fish. So thanks for tuning in. And please hit that subscribe button if you haven't. We'll see you later.